Here's my review of Joyride. This is a very fun, kind of classic, raunchy comedy that I feel like we don't really get that many of these anymore. And it's a very fun movie. I didn't think it was amazing, but it was a fun kind of adventure raunch com where we follow this girl named Audrey who enlists the help of her friends of Lolo, um, Cat, and then Deadeye, and they go to Asia in search of her missing birth parents. And I thought that this was a fun movie. I didn't think that it was amazing or anything, but I thought that this was a very solid comedy that, there's just not that many of them anymore of these type of comedies. But I thought that this was pretty cute. And you get to see some nice backstory between the characters. You get to see how they met and they make kind of a lot of jokes and like on the nose jokes of how they're only friends because they were the only two Asian girls in the neighborhood. And that part was kind of funny and there's like kind of like little jokes like that, but for the most part, I mean, this is kind of like one of those hard R kind of raunchy comedies, so it's not going to be for everybody. And I thought it was funny for the most part, but I didn't think it was amazing. Like I said, you see how they are friends, you understand why they care about each other, and especially one thing that's interesting about these characters is they have polar opposite personalities. So they work off of each other very well. And a lot of this movie is just the four of them getting into absurd situations, and that's what's supposed to be make it funny. And that's about it. It's one of those, like they always say that comedy's subjective, and I would agree. It's the most subjective kind of thing that you can enjoy, and there are probably some jokes in here that made me laugh out loud, and then others that were just like, eh. And with a comedy like this, it's kind of hard to tell whether you'd like it. It all depends. Like you have to know going in that this is a very kind of hard R raunchy comedy, and probably not a lot of people aren't gonna like that. And I did think that there were some parts where like it just kind of felt almost over the top, but for the most part, I thought it was pretty funny. And there is a lot of crazy scenes on this where when they're in China, they are on this bus and then they run into this drug dealer, and then she sprays it on them, and they know that if they get caught, then they're going to jail for life and that whole scene is just very funny. And you see just the most absurd ways on how they try to hide it, and it's completely over the top and it's hilarious. And like I said, I didn't although this movie tries to have like an emotional core, I personally didn't find it that I didn't really find it that like emotional, that dramatic, at least for me. But I will give it credit. I thought it worked, but just not. It don't didn't think it worked great. And this is one of the funniest parts of the movie where it's a huge twist where Audrey actually finds out that she's not Chinese, and she finds out that she's actually Korean, which is just kind of hilarious to think like that she wouldn't really know because like there's this whole thing like with her birth parents kind of got mixed up in the names. And in order to go to Korea, they fake being a K-pop band, and then they get the support of this like influencer in order to get them on a private jet. And I thought that that was a hilarious scene. Like if you've seen the movie, you know what happens here, and it is kind of almost played straight, and that's what makes it so funny. And I thought that, that was one of the funniest parts of the movie. But overall, I thought that this was a solid film. I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought that it was good. I thought it was a really fun. I thought it was really funny. But it's it's a movie that it's almost so over the top that you have to go know that going in. Like if you're not really into these kind of comedies, you won't like this at all, and you have to know that. But I thought that it was pretty funny. I wouldn't call it like my favorite comedy of the year, but I thought it was a solid film. I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought it was fun. These are charming characters. I mean, it's a pretty sweet plot. I mean, and the aesthetic of like the lights of when they go to these different cities in Asia are just really cool. I thought that this was a solid movie. Overall, I thought it was good. I wouldn't call it great, but I'd call it good.